Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Bricker Boom. So, this is just a quick little update on things. The video that you're probably going to be getting for a week or two, just kind of depending on how much we break it up. I think it was only 2 hours, so probably just a week. Um, will be me, Ronifero, Soaptopus, and the baby rhino. Links will be down below. Talking about D&D. I started a podcast kind of style thing where me and some friends can talk about common pitfalls, things that we've seen, things that we've done, just to have a little bit of fun with it. So, I hope you enjoy. This will be the first of many. We'll be coming back in March. Depending on when this goes up, it may be up before then, it may be up after. I don't know the dates yet, just because we are still running through our regular video game rotation. But that'll be up. Ronifero and I are going to be doing a 12-hour charity stream with D&D info. A lot of D&D stuff is going to be coming down the pipes, just to be able to branch out from just the playthroughs. Tishy will be part of it, more Tish Noir, I should say. But yeah, just hope you enjoy it. I hope you all enjoy D&D, and if there's anything that you want to see us cover in the future, because like I said, this will be the first of many, just let us know. So, enjoy. Next question that I wanted to cover, because we'll still definitely have time just to talk about random shit that kind of comes to mind, but I wanted to ask you guys, what is your view on death, or how do you handle deaths in a campaign? Because once you're at level 5, if you find the supplies, and I know some DMs don't play with you needing supplies, I do because it makes sense, but Revivify makes death an almost non-existent threat if we follow rules as written. So what are your guys' view on death? How do you handle death? How do you handle the component side of things?
We will find out not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday after.
And apparently, Sopo smiled at the word death, which is low-key concerning. Sir, just remember, we are level 2, no ancient red dragons.
No, it's a white one.
Oh, okay, well that makes more sense. Good.
Much better, yeah.
Good, I have a flame spell, we're good.
Honestly, the way
I was just gonna say real quick. I actually have a DM who has been handling death in a very, very different way, and I kind of like it. We've had, including my character, about 3 or 4 of us die in that one campaign, but we were all revived within, not with Revivify, but through other weird means that most of us don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, that's fair.
As players. Like, one of our characters died, and then suddenly just started to glow, came back to life. We have no idea why. Another person who died, she had not a rat, not a hamster, a mouse named Hamilton. When she died, the mouse kind of went into her mouth. We saw that happen. She came back to life. Little things like this. And we don't know why. Also, we're in the Shadowfell, if that matters any.
Well, that just means that everything's fucked up.
did Hamilton come back?
We don't know where Hamilton is.
Hamilton's piloting a human mech.
Is anybody else picturing that South Park episode with the hamster inside the human body kind of thing?
That's the thing. That's the weird thing too, because as it happened, we described it out. Her character's eyes completely changed color too. So it's like, is the mouse driving you now? And then when my character
Is the mouse driving you now?
Meat mech. It's just a meat
it's
mech.
that is the joke we kept making.
I love that.
Then when my character died, we didn't use Revivify. We were all level 5 at the time too. Didn't use Revivify, any sort of spells like that, because components. We're running with components, and I feel like that's actually a pretty good idea because Revivify is actually really powerful.
Yes.
That's how it's balanced right there.
Yeah. But since we didn't have components, they kind of revived my character by every other player sacrificing a part of them. Like, one of them actually sacrificed a lot of their health. One can't write their name anymore, and a couple of special items.
Mm-hmm.
And they threw my body into the fire with everything else, and I came back to life screaming.
So I was in a game, and then we did a similar thing. I don't think we were high enough level for Revivifies. Where my spore druid, he wore like furs that weren't cured furs, so they were like rotting and served as his fungus colony.
That's really cool.
We're a walking parasect.
Yeah. So I gave that up. I like laid it over the body of the dead player. Our bard gave up her instrument, and then we like did a group prayer and brought him back that way. It sucked because all my spell components were so I couldn't cast spells. The bard didn't have an instrument. Um, the mage gave up like a permanent first level spell slot.
Holy shit.
That's
Um,
ooh.
so we did stuff like that, but
Sounds very similar to what he was talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's a fun idea, and it's
different.
I don't know if it has anything to do with revivify. For
I
me,
mean,
revivify, like yeah, it's a common spell. A lot of classes seem to get it now.
Mhm.
Diamonds aren't common.
true.
No, they're not. In fact, if you go based off the DM table for treasure tables, you rarely ever get diamonds. It's usually like emeralds, rubies, different things like that. Diamonds hardly ever show up, and when they do, it's like 20 gold worth of diamonds. You need
Yeah.
100. You
Yep.
don't have enough.
Right.
300. 300.
Is
Which
it
that's
300?
how I.
Yeah.
Is it 300? Okay,
300, yeah.
that's how
He's
I've
like,
been
I
running
know how to kill these people.
That's how
Uh,
I've been running it as a DM. Is like in the Wednesday campaigns, they have found. Oh shit! I just realized your druid has the diamonds. Yep. Anyways, they've been finding
Fuck.
diamonds slowly, but not all at once, just in case they die. Um, now their druid, who's no longer being going to be playing, is has all the diamonds. I might have to make a show up as an NPC to give them up.
left a care package.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
left
was
a
about
care
to say, just have her leave a care package.
I'll probably leave them on the ship or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, but no, and
Lovely diamond.
one idea I had with death and dying is to, and this is just something I've never tried, just something I'd be kicking around in my head. Just basically get rid of all revive spells, and the way that it would work is that when you go down, you get a choice of either taking an injury and you know sitting out for the rest of the combat. You could also sacrifice your life in order to do instant critical damage on any enemy that's within 5 feet of you, or if you have a bow, whatever weapon you have in your hand. Or the worst one, the other one, the last one would be to give a morale boost to all of your friends as you have your dying breath. Obviously, the injury is going to be put off the critical injury table, and revivifies would get right out revivify. Restorations would get rid of that. It's just an idea kicked around my head. I probably will try it out in a one shot one day.
Yep. For me, and to answer the question, when you die, D&D is not technically over. You may not play for the rest of the night depending on how things go, but it definitely isn't over. What I do for my campaigns is that if you die, everybody starts at a DC 10. That is about the lowest DC check that you can go. You have to make a DC 10 wisdom save since it is typically the cleric that is bringing people back. Every time you die and get brought back, that goes up by 2. So if you roll, let's just say a 5, you failed, you can try again, but the DC is now still 12. So that's how I kind of combat Revivify being broken, is just making it an escalating DC, because death does need to have consequence in D&D, otherwise it doesn't really matter. At least, and again,
Yeah.
that's just my opinion on the matter.
Because
Yeah.
then you go into a fight being reckless, like, yeah, if I die, you just resurrect me. Die, resurrect me.
Yeah.
You need to have a reason to stay alive.
And if you die, like, and the resurrect spell fails, what I make it so you have to do is that you have to do some sort of ritual revivify next. It still costs the same amount of components, but, and again, I did steal this from Mercer because as a DM, steal shamelessly. You're gonna have to pass DC checks on persuasion, intimidation, however you're trying to bring this body back. So that's how I combat death, personally.
One thing I really think would be really interesting is if we take the ideas that both these gentlemen have presented today, sacrificing items that are very personal to your character, and combine that with the Mercer idea. Like, you have a set DC that you have to do. You have to either give up very valuable items to lower the DC that are going to permanently hurt your character,
That's cool.
or, yeah, I think that would be awesome.
We did have to make an ability check, a group ability check with a set DC, but I won't lie, it was quite a while ago. I had a few beers since then, and I don't remember.
I think my own, and I like the idea, but I think my only concern with that is, let's just say the DC is 15 and you happen to roll a 14. It's like, well, now my item is gone and I didn't bring them back. I would probably say if you're going to sacrifice an item, just me personally, bring the DC down for how personal that
How much
item
they-
is to you. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just
Yeah.
little things to help bring the DC down, and then they still
exactly.
roll a 1.
Well, that's we're not going to talk about that.
I
Which
think you
listen.
could do it where whatever holy power just doesn't find your sacrifice sufficient,
and
and you don't
spits
lose
it
your
back at
item.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
No,
I mean, if you light it on
well,
fire, then you know, shit on
Or if
fire.
you're stabbing yourself, your blood's not going to go back in your body.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
fine.
You know,
Baby Rhino, though, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask, because this seems to be a hot topic in every single D&D page that I am on. Since you
no.
brought up Nat 1, how do you guys feel about the critical success, critical failure on skill checks?
Mm,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
everybody I know we don't ever. If you roll a 1, you could still succeed if the other person rolls worse.
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
One of the prime examples for me is a stealth check. A stealth check of a nat 1 still better than no stealth check.
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's true.
100%.
And
Uh,
even with going into that too, you can do like group stealth checks or group
Yeah.
strength checks, stuff like that too. Even if one person rolls a 1, other people roll higher, and it still succeeds.
That's how I
Oh,
do
God.
the group stealth checks, or I haven't had to do a group strength check, but yeah, if it's a party of 5, as long as 3 people pass, we're good.
Mhm.
Right.
That brings me to another interesting thing that I think the one thing I miss of 4th edition, which I know 4th edition, boo, everybody hates it.
It's too much
Skill-
math.
Skill challenges. Skill challenges were actually a really great idea that they just left on the cutting room floor with 5th edition. Basically, what it was is exactly what we're talking about. Like, you need to do a stealth mission. Well, the thief needs to make a sleight of hand check. Basically, everybody gets one job they get to do during that, and if you pass, say 3 out of 5, you succeed. Everybody gets to do something different, something that plays to their strength. Like the barbarian makes a fucking distraction somewhere, beats up a guard or two,
Mm.
things like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
because now I feel like the main way that I, as a DM, I'll bring, like, if, for example, Timmel would be providing a distraction. If he rolls high enough on a persuasion check, then the DC for the stealth check will end up coming down. So I get what you're saying. I think that's more of, as of now anyway, isn't that more of just kind of whatever the DM thinks is supposed to happen kind of thing? There isn't like a set table, correct?
No, there's no set table.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to that, if anybody rolls a natural 1, all it does is make it harder for everybody else. Like,
Exactly.
It's not
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
not that big of a deal.
On the topic of critical failures or critical success, I think it's definitely something to bring up with the group that you're playing with. Like, if you want to play that and set it up that way, it should be part of your session 0. Um, I'm not for or against it in either way, particularly. I'd rather play without it, but if everyone wants to do it, then I can come up with.
And
One of my buddies had a whole deck of cards for critical success and critical failures, and
that could
I was
be
just gonna,
interesting.
just
Now,
gonna look that up.
I will say, to kind of piggyback off that, if you are having a session 0 and you guys are talking about doing critical success, critical failure, do not be that player that goes, so a nat 20 means that I succeed everything, right? Okay, once a day, my character is going to try to jump to the moon, and if I get a 20, you have to let it happen. That is not how it works.
It's not, but it's funny.
It is funny, but not how it works. And the objects that you use in the game, Unicorn, it's kind of up to you. Obviously, you'll use the dice, but Ronifero here has a character that, because he's a child, but also a detective, he takes notes in crayon. My bard, for example, because he just learned Tasha's Hideous Laughter, whenever he casts Hideous Laughter, I'm going to be reading one of these lovely little cards. So you don't have to bring anything additional other than the dice and paper, But me personally, as a DM, if you bring little things that like make your character stand out, I love it. See, you can see the scribblings of a madman.
That's my
Holy
natural
crap.
handwriting.
Disgusting.
It's real bad. I should have been a doctor.
Yes.
Handwriting like that.
Yeah.
What about Sopo and Baby Rhino? Do either of you guys typically ever like? Do you bring anything for your character, whether it be online or an in-person game, or do anything specifically?
I
I
have
can't
not
really
gotten to
think of
play
anything.
in
No.
person in so long, unfortunately.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That it's not a relevant feature.
Fair enough.
Back
Yeah,
when
it just
I
helps you get there.
played in person in Tucson, I did
Oh,
wear
my cat's yelling. One sec.
a mild costume
What?
for our Vampire the Requiem game. I was a street magician, so I wore like a coat and a hat, and
fine.
I had a couple of like, you go to the book fair and get like how to do magic. props. So
How to do
I had a
magic
few of
for
those-
dummies.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I had a
that's
few
awesome.
of those little kind of silly prop things like that.
Okay.
Nice wizard hats.
Thank you.
A good
This-
friend of ours got them for us.
Yep, both
That's
hats.
awesome.
Except mine likes to stay
Stay.
erect, while his
Mine
is
needs
just
a little bit of the blue
floppy.
pill.
Yeah.
It needs a blue pill.
You just need a fluffer, that's all.
Yeah.
Yep.
So to bring it back before we skip subject over to another one, how does the group feel about critical fails on attacks?
I think personally for me, yes, it misses. Like there's no way around that, because unless you have a plus 20 to your attack, there's no way that the math is going to add up. However, for things like dropping your weapon or injuring another player, I could see it happening more for level, like, we'll say 1 to 3 kind of situation, but then you run the risk of killing them. But after a while, you become a seasoned warrior. It doesn't make sense for you to be in the middle of a battle, even if it's something you've never faced, and your weapon go flying out of your hand.
Right. Just critical fails on attacks. You just miss. That's all I like.
Yeah, because
it makes no sense for anything else.
that's
to happen.
punishment enough, depending on how fucked you are. Let's just be honest. Like, yesterday, I happened to miss not once, not twice, but 3 times against the same elemental.
And
Yep.
it doesn't always have to be a miss. Sometimes I do it as your character hesitates to the point where they just don't attack.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that actually. Yeah, it's a good
or,
idea.
Obviously you bounce off their armor, they block with their shield.
Mhm.
I usually do that when they get real close. Like if it's an 18, they
Yeah.
get a 17. Like they definitely block that. You were gonna hit them, but they just were a little faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've only done crit fail once as a joke. I literally did it as a joke during the campaign that running on Wednesdays. Our druid rolled a natural
Mhm.
1, and the owl was right in the way, and I was like, haha, roll another d20 just to see if you crit fail. If you get another natural 1, what are the chances? 5%. It's 5%. She rolled another natural 1. I was like,
And
"Gotta do it
then
now."
he goes, roll damage, and she rolls max damage.
She did.
Oh,
I went from full health to almost no, I had 3 hit points left at the end of that battle. I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. I quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do that again because never challenge the dice. They will find a way.
Yeah,
yes.
1000%.
Don't taunt the dice. That's how I.
It
die.
was literally a joke. I did not think she was going to do it again.
No,
Yeah.
and for the stars to line up for her to get back-to-back nat 1s and max damage, the chances of that are astronomically low, but not
yeah.
impossible for those
But
watching.
not 0.
Nothing is ever 0% in this game, except
No.
for
Indeed.
jumping to the moon.
Well, you say that,
Well,
but if you guys remember in 3.5, because we're all 3.5 players here, there actually was a skill check table, and I think it was like if you got like a 30 or a 40 on your balance check, you could walk on clouds.
That's so dumb. I hate
What?
everything about that.
Check
That's
your player's
ridiculous.
handbook. It's ridiculous, but it's
I gotta
true.
look it up.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna end up looking that up later. That is dumb.
Well, before you could just stack skill like after. Like I love the way they did it now. I kind of hate how they took intelligence out of the equation completely for skills, except for like
Yeah.
knowledge check. It used to have a
Yeah.
much bigger impact. But I like what they do now because it's a lot more grounded. You're not going to get 40 on your skill check unless
Mhm.
you're a rogue.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I'm pretty sure if you add Pass Without a Trace and you're a level 20 rogue, I think if you get a nat 20, I want to say that the highest you can get on that, if you've maxed out your dex, is right around a 45 to 47, I want to
Sounds about
say.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, not likely, though.
How would you need a number that big? God damn.
Uh,
You would
I know it
You
can
wouldn't,
pop up
but
still.
yeah.
It,
sneak it into a god's house. Like,
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Ding
no,
Dong
it-
Ditch on the god of war.
the god of vision. At that
Um,
point, the god's got to
How the
give you a
fuck you
boon.
get
You're like,
around me?
that's fucking
yeah,
impressive.
that's
I
impressive.
See everything.
You're in another campaign entirely. I had no idea you were there.
Here,
What are you
now
doing
have,
here?
Here, you now have dark vision.
Yes.
Have
Oh my god.
Two questions that we have. One, is D&D similar to the Choose Your Own Adventure books? And is there a good way to start before actually playing, like preparing? So that actually brings into the next question: is what would you want to give to advice to new players who haven't got to play much or haven't played at all? Or on the flip side of that, um, is there any particular, maybe we probably covered it mostly with the first question, but is there anything that you would want to add that we may not have before to DMs who want to try DMing for the first time? Cover the
Honestly,
player
go
side
for it.
first. Yeah.
Jump into it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing to do is to actually just go
Do
into
it.
it. You'll learn as do it. You'll learn as you're
Do it.
going. That is like one of the biggest things, especially if you're like new to DMing. Learn as you're going. Even if you like this happens so many times. I'm sure you guys had it before too. You had like one thing happen, you question it mid-campaign, and then you're like, you know what? We'll go with this and we'll move ahead and see. Check the rules. If we're gonna go with this rule or that rule. And then from that point on, move forward
Yeah. I
with that one particular rule.
I would agree with that. I would also say as well, and this is just my opinion on things. You don't have to by any means, but don't think that, like, let's just say you're talking with people and one wants to play a barbarian and the other wants to play a fighter, and you're like, well, I guess I have to play a spellcaster. Spellcasters are incredibly difficult for
Yes.
any level of skill. Don't think that, especially druid and cleric and wizard, who have just
sorcerer as well.
oodles upon oodles of spells, do not think that you cannot double up on a barbarian or something like that. Try to do a hand-to-hand fighter would be my advice before trying to do a spellcaster.
Yeah, so definitely like whenever I play with new players, I love playing with new players. It's
They're the best.
gotta be my favorite. Um, don't stress it. You know,
Yeah.
have the point is to have fun.
Mhm.
Ask as many questions as you want to ask. Don't sit wondering about something and never ask because you're embarrassed or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, like Bricker said, I would recommend playing a melee or a martial character. You can be like a bow guy or something to start.
Yeah.
Yep.
To kind of get the hang of the rules. And if you want to switch to caster, tell your DM. They'll kill your character. They'll make you part
They
of
will
the-
happily do it. A free kill?
yeah.
Hi.
My KDA just got to 0.000001.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's actually fun. I was gonna say it's actually funny you mentioned that too. One campaign I had, me and my friend, we were both barbarians. I was still a gnome. My friend was a full orc. They would throw me into battle.
yeah, we did that to our gnome as well. They would basically shot put her, and while she was in the air, she would go earth elemental and just come crashing down like the Hulk. It was
Oh, that's
amazing.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It actually inspired our rogue to make a gun that fires a little cannonball that's been shrunk, and then it hits it with the dispel at the end of the barrel, so it would get really big into a big cannonball. That's where he got that idea.
I may or may not have, I should not have allowed that, but it was hilarious because
How
the-
many kills did my character get?
Exactly.
With that fucking
That's
gun?
why it
And
was
he's not even a-
hilarious.
He's not even like a fighter.
He just kept rolling nat 20s on the attack, and I'm like, you know what? I'm good with it. It's great. If it's a 1, you're in fucking trouble. But until that day, let the good times roll.
Yup.
Lady Luck was with that character. He only fired it like 3 times, but I think 2 of the 3 times it was a natural 20. The other one was like a 19 or
Yeah,
something
like
stupid
it was
that.
still
It was really
fine.
good.
And also one thing that I will say to kind of piggyback off something that Morticia War said, you're crafting a story together. If your DM is not willing to work on you with characters or the story or even your character's backstory or something like that, I hate to say this, run, because they should be willing to work with you, and they don't have to, of course, bend to every little thing that you want, but to make the story more interesting and more make you more passionate about it, they should be willing to bend a little bit and make things happen with your character.
Oh yeah.
No
right, it's-
D&D is better than bad D&D.
That is true.
Yeah. God,
As
I've had bad deals, man.
That'll be a whole episode, bad D&D, I think.
I've been relatively lucky with that. One suggestion I would have for DMs, kind of piggybacking off of good old Bricker here, is read your player characters' backstories. That's gonna make your work so much easier.
Yes.
You know how many
Yep.
you know how many big bad evil guys that I've literally ripped from people's backstories. Actually, this entire campaign we played, I've ripped from my characters' backstories because I'm like, A, they really care about this stuff. It'll get them invested, and B, I'm lazy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm just
Just
gonna
have your
make
players do it for you,
and
right?
have the players
exactly.
write the game for you.
Like, that's the thing. Like, if you add in your character's backstory and just leave those little breadcrumbs wherever you go, your players will continue to be invested and will come back, and that is the best feeling in the world as a DM.
Oh, 100.
And definitely adapt. Like, for example, this campaign that I'm running with Bricker, I can now reveal what the big thing
Yes.
is. I mean, it's already been revealed in the story. There's been like a body leech, basically a body snatcher that's been taking different bodies throughout all of history, and they finally have found the party that they could trick into helping them gain ultimate power into a god. They started out, that body snatcher started out as one of the players' backstories, arch nemesis, and then they died off screen. Of course, they didn't actually die; they just switched bodies.
I went to the bathroom during this part. This is hella spoilers.
I'm not spoiling any. I already did all this. You already know what's going on. Yeah, so just adapt the story that you want to tell with some of the backstory that your players have. It'll keep them much more invested.
Yeah.
They'll be very happy with it.
Then, hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, there'll definitely be a lot more of this coming. So, until next time, everybody, peace out. Except mine likes to stay erect while his
Mine
is
needs a
just
little bit of the
floppy.
blue